Good morning. Hello. Anybody out there? Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. So good to hear your voices. Oh, goodness. Welcome to Woodland Chapel, Center for Spiritual Living. We are indeed privileged to be here this morning with one another and to enjoy each other's presence. It's a beautiful time of the year as we are, most of us, preparing in some way or another for our celebration with family and friends and Christmas and all that. And that spirit does continue through here. Is there anyone here for the first time? Oh, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. We have a packet of information for you. We have 3 visitors today. Wonderful. And in that packet, you'll find some information about our community and what we believe and how we practice. And, yeah. As we prepare for the celebration of all the good things that are happening in this season, it's good to know that we really prepare all of this in our hearts and our minds. And it's the gift of attention, the gift of being centered in the middle of all of the activities that go on around us. You might say it's the gift of peace that we bring to this season. And we pray peace for not only ourselves individually, but for the entire world and all that goes along with it. So welcome to Woodland Chapel. And we do have some announcements today. If you would look at the last page of your program, you'll have an extraordinary speaker next week. That's myself. Sorry. I think I'm going to be speaking on a message called Ode to Joy. And we'll light the joy candle from the Advent season next week. Please join us in hospitality after our service downstairs in the hospitality room. Just follow the crowd out the door downstairs. The board will meet today at 12:30. Our food drive has started. You may have noticed the green barrel. There's one upstairs in the library, and there's one downstairs in the meeting hall. So we hope to fill both of those barrels by December 26th, I think is when we've called the end of that one. Grief during the holidays. Cheryl, our practitioner, Cheryl Guest, will be presenting next week, starting about 12:30, probably 2 hours or so. And she'll be talking about a pretty sensitive topic for many of us, one that involves the sense of loss of people we may have had in our lives and how that works out in this season of joy and Christmas. Christmas Eve candle lighting service is at 7 o'clock right here in the chapel. Sunday service the following day at 11. A potluck on Christmas Day. If we have enough people sign up, we do have hosts. Mary and Satya Riversong are hosting the potluck on Christmas Day. And then the silent auction. It's time to bring in things for silent auction. You'll notice there's sign-up sheets out there on the table, and you can write out a description, somewhat in detail, of what it is that you're offering and if there's any particular things that need to be known about it. And it also asks for a minimum bid. Now that can be a little tricky, as Kathy and I did this morning, but we established one. So, yes.
If people don't have anything or think they don't have anything to bring, some other things that they could offer is taking somebody to lunch at a particular restaurant or to dinner. You just write down,
Mm-hmm.
or put a bid price for however many people,
Right.
and then everybody wins. People get to go to lunch or dinner with someone, the church makes some money, everybody has a good time. So something like that. So think outside the box. It doesn't have to be something
Physical, right. Yeah, one person has donated a week at any resort condominium international, RCI resort, and there's a website you can look to see what that means, but that's available. Okay, thank you, Kathy. Any other announcements we need to make at this time? No. All right, then let's go to a practice that we've been doing now for a great number of years. We join in the use of the Advent wreath. The Advent wreath is kind of a symbol of the unity of the one and the circle that it manifests, and kind of a bellwether or inspiration to be able to actually feel or begin to enkindle the spirit of aliveness and a wellness in your hearts of the season. We focus on one of the 4 special values on each of the 4 Sundays, and today we're going to focus on peace. So peace arises from knowing God. We experience peace when we realize our oneness with the divine. Jesus referred to the peace when he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." Peace comes from the presence of spirit. It's the source of personal power and arises from deep inner calm. We light the 3rd candle today to remember peace. Now it's time to sing.
This is the congregational song. I think the words are in there, and if you'd like to stand and sing along with us, this will be the first time, but not the last time you'll sing today.
Yes, this is more of a meditative starting of our service, so just connect with your heart.
You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. Blessed peace. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. Deepest joy. You are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. Good one.
Yeah.
We now will have an invocation led by Cheryl, our practitioner, Cheryl Guess, and followed by an affirmation and a reading.
So join me in knowing that we are the existence of God here on earth in human form, that we are the manifestation of this incredible intellectual energy that is the universe, that all manifestation, all formed and unformed beings are the essence of this energy. And I know today that each person here is by divine urge ready to express God in perfect harmony with other spiritual beings. We are each a spiritual being here to be manifest as a human being, to express all the feelings, all of the joy, all the laughter, all of the fun things that it is to be human, and to experience this in all aspects of our lives. And so today, I just ask that we know that throughout the world there is peace, and it radiates from within each one of us. And I know that this peace permeates this entire center, that the serenity and love and beauty and joy of God is expressed today, right here, in this moment. And I have so much gratitude and so much love and so much thankfulness in my heart, knowing that God is present everywhere. And I just ask that each person, whether they be in conflict throughout the world, whether they be a soldier or they be somebody that is a civilian, that they all experience the peace of God today and throughout this holiday season. And I know that God does not play favorites. So no matter which side of the conflict, they are all God's children. And so, join me in knowing, through the law of mind, that everything is unfolding just as it should. So I ask you, if this resonates with you, to join me in saying, and so it is. I'd like to share our affirmation for the day, if you'd like to join me in reading it. Today, I am answering the call to a greater living experience within the divine community of my own making. I lovingly share the wholeness of the human spirit found in everyone I meet. The divine in me says, Namaste, and so it is. Today's reading is from the Science of Mind magazine. It is titled, Ask to be Seen. We are all different. There's no such thing as a standard or run-of-the-mill human being, but we share the same human spirit. And that was by Stephen Hawking. So back of all form, there is a divine substance, from Ernest Holmes' Living the Science of Mind. I didn't have much experience with people of differing abilities when my then 6-year-old daughter became friends with a girl next door. The girl's sister was 10, in a wheelchair, unable to speak, feed, or clothe herself. Over time, I got to know the mother and the girl. Struggling and feeling awkward, I asked her mother for advice. Speak to her like you would a 6-month-old, she told me. Her words were like magic for me. I can do that. As I did, a quiet relationship developed between us. I'd receive extra smiles when I arrived, and she would often reach out with her one good arm and hold my hand, or simply laugh. I grew in my conscious awareness of what was possible despite the outward appearance of limitation, and began to experience the spirit within her. By the time the girl was in high school, scientists developed a tool that enabled her to press a button in response to images projected on a screen in the classroom. Not only did the technology help the girl feel engaged, it also helped other children see her as a whole, and her circle of friends and community built up around her. We are all being called to a greater lived experience of the divine all the time, to see and recognize the wholeness of it as it is expressed through all things. If it is here before us, this great it within us asking to be known. So the affirmation for this reading, today when I notice separation in myself, I transform it into love. Namaste.
Now it is time for some special music from Blaine and Annie.
So this is a call and response, so you get to sing again with us. And it's a meditative song called In My Awakening.
You can follow me.
Still my mind,
Still my mind.
be at peace.
Be
In my awakening,
in my awakening.
I release
I release
with my heart.
with my heart.
Free my soul.
Free my soul.
In my awakening,
In my awakening.
I am whole.
I am whole.
Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. As I love,
As I love.
as I give,
As I give.
in my awakening,
In my awakening.
I choose to live.
I choose to live.
Give me strength
Give me strength.
to shine my light
To shine my light.
in my awakening.
In my awakening.
Clear my sight.
Clear my sight.
Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. All I believe,
All I believe.
all I know,
All I know.
in my awakening,
In my awakening.
I let go.
I let go.
Fill me with hope,
Fill me with hope.
temper my fear.
Temper my fear.
In my awakening,
In my awakening.
God appear.
God appear.
Surrounded in love,
Surrounded in love.
surrounded in calm.
Surrounded in calm.
In my awakening,
In my awakening.
hear my song.
Hear my song.
Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om.
That was very meditative indeed. Thank you so much, Blaine. Thank you, Annie. I know some of you are new here, so I'll give a little introduction to our speaker today. Our speaker today is Reverend Don Kerr. Reverend Don Kerr has been a member of this chapel for quite a number of years now, has been our assistant minister at least since 2006, as I recall, and has brought to us many wonderful messages over the years. I'm sure you'll enjoy his message today. And I'm kind of curious to say, what does that mean? What does that title mean? What is that title he's speaking on today? It's Into We See. Let's hear Reverend Don Kerr. Welcome him.
Into we see. I'm still figuring it out. Into what and see what? You know, I think I'm going to share with you a most powerful proclamation before we get started. This is one that really can empower any of us on our path that we may be on to this spiritual awakening we talk about here. Just take a moment, and just do this. Just look around, just what you can see of this chapel. You can see some empty seats, can't you? Sure. But just look, see if you can just glance at everybody's face. Just give a glance. Yeah, just give a glance. Now I'm going to share this powerful proclamation because it was spoken by one of humankind's wisest spiritual teachers. He said these words. He said, wherever two or more or three are gathered together in my name, I'm in the midst of them. I'm in the midst of them. You know, there's power in my name, that statement. The name of any sacred intention, and that's what, you see, it is. A name is a sacred intention. Your parents who gave you your name, they had a purpose for giving you that name that you've been carrying with you all these years, for all your life. You may have had a few nicknames, but your name. You see, our names mean something. The energy and the presence of the Holy Spirit abides and resides. Yeah, knowing what the Spirit is, right where we are, right where two or more or three. That's all it takes to start a communal experience, an activation of divine energy flowing. Yeah. Whether that be 2 or 200, it all rests on the intention, that intention of you and I to come and be in sacred union. I love to call it sacred union because that's what it is. Do this with each other and commune with the moment, with one another, to know one another by name. Do you know everybody's name in this sanctuary? Be good to know their name. Yeah, to know their name. To commune means to share. That word, commune, means to share. To be in close spiritual contact with something or someone, as we are sharing this time and space right here. Right, both of us, all of us, 3 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us, 6 of us, over a dozen of us. And today's topic that was given to me to share with you as these words, it says, into we see. And Reverend Moore said earlier now what is that going to be all about? Into we see. Now I read those words and I really immediately wondered, into we see what? And into we see why? There's all kinds of questions. What am I supposed to see? But if I'm to stay on point here, I'm going to try to, with our philosophy of the science of mind. Now, that's what we teach here, is religious science, the science of mind. It's that brand of metaphysics that has gone from brand to be an actual experience. Excuse me here. Health, wealth, and happiness. Water. Doesn't taste like tomato juice. Anyhow, when I read those words, like I said, I wondered just what the heck where am I going to go with that? But I decided to hang in there with the Science of Mind teaching, our books in this library and everything that we have that gets into that brand of metaphysics. And to do that, I need to ask you to keep your attention to this belief which suggests to us that if we recognize wholeness, and if we see the state of being in wholeness. Now, when we say wholeness, you see, we don't necessarily mean it to apply to complete and perfect in all levels of dimensions that we are. We're not talking about perfect, complete. We're talking about wholeness. We're referring to the one spirit of creation, the whole spirit. It's behind all life, within all life. We teach that. And all forms have this wholeness planted within them, this possibility to be whole. Now, together, they do this in humanity, you see. We're not talking about wholeness and spirit indwelling and holding us in bondage or any kind of limitation. We're not talking about that, but it's in that free will to be together by choice, to make these preferences, to gather together by what we choose to have these preferences, and then be seen as part of our human community. And at times, let me tell you, this is interesting to me. At times, this may be where we kind of break apart into tribes. My tribe, your tribe, their tribe. However, also in the philosophy of this new thought, we have uncovered what we call this progression of how to neutralize the ego. There's a reason we teach ways to do that. Because, you see, ego is at the base of tribal behaviors. Tribal behaviors are the product of human ego that fears the loss of our identities. I mean, think about that now. We create these tribal behaviors because our egos always need to seem to compare, to compete, maybe climb to this higher point of importance, get a title, all those kinds of things, to protect our sense of what we call, what we believe is our identity, who we are for that moment, who we are. But you know, a lot of the time it's forgetting, many times, who we really are. You know that. I know you do. Now, spirit or God or source or whatever we've come to call the all behind all that is, that universal intelligence does not see us as separate, but instead holds us near and dear with what is called universal love, which expresses and offers us wholeness, a wholeness. And we can express as wholesome beings. We're not talking about, again, that being perfect and complete. We can express as wholesome beings, always wholly possible to ever become, I heard one preacher talking about the idea of humans are seldom becoming, but ever becoming. Right on. Right on, for me anyhow. And we can develop these tribal behaviors and be more than that. We can drop away any of these acts of intentions that we might have of inclusion and exclusion of others outside of our tribe. We become able to see into the whole picture of humanity's purpose for being human being. When new people arrive here for the first time, a lot of times we like to say, we hope you like what you hear here. We hope you like what you see here. We hope you'll come back and see us again. Because whatever path you have decided or not to travel upon spiritually, we honor that because we know where all those paths lead eventually. So, our humanity, I think, thought about that, is what we see into for our soul's application of creating heaven on earth. And a good example of getting past our tribal expressions and then elevate this community as religious scientists, I like to call this. We are religious scientists here. And at this time, to be helping our centers for spiritual living, the great spiritual living centers of the world, to do all we can from this center outward to help create that world that can work for all life. All life. All life forms. You know, our science of mind really, it doesn't just teach. It's calling us to recognize simply this one great state of being, of wholeness, which is actually spirit itself. And not just seeing wholeness as holding on to that perfection or that completeness, but instead, it's always offering this more becoming, more unfolding, more possibilities of becoming the realities in our life. With recognizing, again, more possibilities of becoming the realities. And then the universe is constantly expanding. What does that tell us? We're in that for the ride, aren't we? So what do we have to, what can we naturally do but be expanding? Our universe of ourself always is ready for us to awaken and deepen and become a willing participant in this expansion. And it does it with this wholeness power that we bring with us, born with it. We constantly possess it, and it's always waiting for us to express it in some way. The truth about us, one of the truths about us, but a major truth, is we aren't puppets, we aren't victims of any power, real or imagined, outside of ourselves. No. Now, y'all know who Jesse Jennings is, maybe? Oh, I like that guy. I like his writings. He writes in the Science of Mind magazine all the time. I'm going to read you something here. He wrote this in a recent article about human community building. That's what it's about. He said, "We are social creatures from the first. We hunted, we gathered and planted and urbanized collectively, not alone, collectively." And he goes on to say, now and then, one of us maybe did wander over the far horizon, but if that one soul managed to come back and tell about it, the whole group would soon head off there too. It was always a collective gathering we hunger for to be within. There's a verse from a song that goes something like this. Blaine could do this one very well. You pack up the babies and grab the old ladies and everyone goes. Everyone goes. That Traveling Salvation show. Yeah, that's how it works, community. Yeah, people like to stick together as birds of a feather. That's community, participation. And in a beginning, if we do create a tribal atmosphere, we must be willing to transcend the urge to only include some others and exclude others. We got to transcend that to where part of this building of true community is building a larger table for others to have a seat at our gathering and then sharing the fruits of our actions and theirs. And then it's an atmosphere we create. It's where all can contribute and enjoy a world that works for everyone. You keep hearing us say that here. We're not going to stop saying that because we know it can be done. Peace, P-E-A-C-E, putting everyone above conflict everywhere. Yeah, that's my goal. What's in that water? It's addictive. That was pretty good. Okay. Now I want to share a story with you of my own experience of being able to see an example of the beginning of community where tribal behavior was useful, even necessary. Now, in this story, I won't identify the participants because there's a reason, just in case that they may be acting and working outside the boundaries and regulations for the organization they're serving within. See, this has to do with a couple who do community service by delivering meals to people who are in need of that service. It's called Meals on Wheels. You know, you've heard of that. Well, this couple were on their way for the first delivery with their packaged meals when the man thought the car had a tire going flat. Well, he pulled over, he says, near the fairgrounds out Silverton Road on a corner. Just as he was inspecting the tires, and he noticed a woman out of the corner of his eye with a grocery cart full of what was probably her entire possessions coming his way, kind of looking right at him. Well, he said that he nodded to the woman. He didn't want to ignore her. But when she started to speak, he realized that probably he was going to want some money. He braced himself. But instead, she asked him if he had any crackers or candy bars or leftover snacks in the car that he'd allow her to have. She said she'd not eaten anything for a day and a night. Anything, any scraps of food would be wonderful. Well, he paused for a moment. And then he said, I got something even better. And he reached into the insulated carry bag, and he pulled out one of the packaged full dinner's plates that's wrapped and ready for delivery, and he handed it to her. And he said, here, try this. Compliments of Meals on Wheels. And she thanked him with 3 thank yous, he said. Thank you, thank you, thank you, like that. And then when he drove off back to the center, to the kitchen to get a replacement meal, of course, because these were all set out on a route. Later in the route, the driver had to call in some information about a delivery that was not home, answering the door. And so we always check on those things. I remember that's what you would do. And so he discovered that his cell phone was gone, missing. Oh, nowhere to be found. Well, the next delivery day, as they were starting their same delivery route, they were approaching the fairgrounds turnoff where they had met the homeless woman, and they noticed 4 women standing on the same corner, waving, and the one woman pointing to his car and holding something in her hand. And immediately, the woman they recognized had a cell phone. So the women and her 3 companions, when he pulled over, quickly ran to the car window, and the one woman with the cell phone was explaining that she spotted the cell as he drove off and couldn't catch him, and the phone would unlock for her, and he had that figured out and done on purpose, so it wouldn't be unlocked. She didn't know how to get a hold of him, so this is the second day they stood waiting. Anyhow, the man figured he'd lost it. Anyhow, it was done. But he was very thankful, so he decided to ask the woman if she'd eaten yet, receiving an answer that none of the 3 women had eaten at all recently. Well, he instinctively just reached back into his insulated containers. He pulled out 4 meals and handed them to the women, receiving a dozen thank yous as they volunteered more information about their situation. One of the women couldn't shut up talking. He said, we have to leave, but she's, I got to tell you this. She says, here's what it seemed like. There was 4 of these women in this group who, after being constantly victimized, threatened, and bullied, and especially sexually assaulted, the 4 had decided to band together in their own private community and, like a small tribe, to watch each other's back. As the woman explained, to protect their possessions and their dignities. So the man, when he drove off back to the center kitchen to purchase 4 more replacement meals, to put back in the delivery route, that's what he had to do that. It was only right for him to pay for 4 more since he had given them out. When I heard that story, I thought, I've had similar possible experiences where I've had a meal left over. It was not to be delivered, or an extra meal. And a person standing on a corner wanting money, pull over and just say, hi. And you always get a lot of thank yous for that. See, these women on the street were expected to contact other sources for food and assistance. They didn't qualify for Meals on Wheels. They didn't have a home. There was an address to take a meal to. But out of their fears and experiences of being treated badly and feeling threatened, they hesitated to contact these designated resources. Yeah, it's quite a situation. So they constantly moved around and begged on the streets. And that's how they lived. Well, the delivery couple never told the center what they were doing because they just decided to pay out of pocket for their 4 deliveries and make that quick stop on the corner and keep on moving. In a city like Salem, Oregon, the communities that are trying to help, they do a lot of good. And you heard Reverend Moore talk about the barrels that we're going to be putting up. We like to fill those full of food and clothing, whatever is designated. So when you see those here, don't hesitate to just give the way you feel like you want to give. Now, I want to work towards a closing this morning. I want to remind us of what Jesse Jennings earlier said when he spoke of how that we are social creatures from the first beginnings, where we hunted and gathered and planted and urbanized collectively, not singularly. So what is it that we can see into when it comes to gathering our lives and our hopes and our own dreams? And what is it we're looking into for as we ponder this week's topic, Into We See? Well, I want to read something out of this month's Science of Mind magazine. See if that'll close me out on this. I don't have my glasses, but I can read pretty good if I squint my eyes. You ever do that? Okay. So beneath each breath we have the opportunity to take, there's an underlying essence of peace and grace. And this breath is empowered by our source. The spirit of the infinite fuels our thoughts and carries with them unbounded potential and possibility. We've been talking about that this morning. This author of this article, it's called Rediscovering the Unity in Unity. And they go on to say, as I invite the word community to rest in my consciousness, a variety of things effortlessly begins to appear. First and foremost, I associate the word with specific memories that help me from my personal definition of community. You have your own definition of community. We all do if we just will want to think about what does community mean to us. He says, this involves my upbringing and the communities I've been a part of over the course of my life. However, as I allow my being to explore this word much deeper than the few selected memories that are seemingly unconsciously selected, which give me my personal meaning of community, I see something different. Without what stands out in the word community is the word unity. Unity. For what is a community without a sense of unity from those who help compromise that space or location? Unity. As I have traveled down the internal staircase of the unity in community, he says as I travel down this internal staircase of the unity in community, I'm invited to explore the absence of this powerful word in so many of the communities across the world that I have worked with. Without this, let me just ask the last question. He asked this: what would take place if we led with unity in our lives? And what impact would that make on the greater community of all, this planet Earth? And I stopped there on that reading because that explains to me the idea of what it is that we can look forward into if we just use the idea of, we know our first part of our treatment, for example, we start with, what do we recognize? We recognize the source, and that's all that is. When we say God is all there is, that's what we mean. And then the next thing we have to do, we have to become that which we see. We become in unity with the divine. And in that unity, that allows us to express and be and realize all the wonders that are possibilities that are in store for us. So I'm just going to take a moment and just say, why don't we go within just for a moment? Just close our eyes and just recognize that words have power, and the way they're presented empower us to use them in our life. You see, here's what I know. I know there's a light that fills the universe. It shines out from the infinitely creating one mind of the one source. And this light shines forth to light my way, your way, our way, to give us clarity and guidance and purpose, and gives us healing where necessary and right decisions, and it gives us wellness and purpose for our life. And that's something I can be thankful for. And in this knowing, I also know that there is a love that literally permeates the universe, and it radiates out from the one great heart of all creation. And this love supports all that is. And this love literally enfolds me and all my beloveds, everyone, everywhere. This love holds us so near and so dear, and it nurtures and it sustains us and it raises and it praises us. And for that I can give the greatest thanks. And I know that there's that power that moves through all life, everywhere, my life right here, your life. This power moves through everything, and it directs us, and it connects us to the source, always, to our highest and greatest good. And it does it in all ways. And then there's that presence, that holy, sacred, unifying presence that holds everything, holds the universe and everything in it. It holds all the light. It holds all the love, all the power. It holds you and I, everything. And this presence watches over all creation. And this presence observes you and me, and it sees us just as it sees itself, as whole, not complete and perfect, but whole, ever unfolding, ever becoming. And this presence is everywhere. There's no spot where it is not. And so, I ask you with me this morning to just go with this presence, because I call it God. Go with God, and all is well. All is well. And so it is. Thank you. Amen. All right. We'll get a program. You got a program tomorrow? All right. You're well prepared.
We have a song to do.
Yeah, we have a song about
Yes.
community, Don. Imagine
Hey,
that.
all right.
About community.
Thank you, Annie.
This is a song about the greater community that we all live in. Well, it's an idea whose time has come. A new generation decides as one of the same small planet we are born. It's never been so obvious before. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, touch the same sky, breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. You and I. The future of history, it's crystal clear. The borders between us will all disappear. Of the same small planet we are born. And there's no foreign country anymore. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, and touch the same sky. We breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. Well, some say I'm out of touch with the times, that there's no room for a vision like mine. But I still see it, and I can believe it. There's so many lives on the line. There's so many lives on the line. We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, touch the same sky. We breathe the same air. I think we ought to get along better, you and I. Why don't you sing it with us? We breathe the same air, drink the same water, walk the same earth, touch the same sky. Breathe the same air, and I think we ought to get along better, you and I. We breathe the same air, you and I.
We are one. We are one community. We're one community in faith and in love. And as the spirit of today's celebration reminds us, this oneness extends just not only in our hearts and here in this community, but in the community at large, the whole world. And so our effort is, as we gather these offerings today, to strengthen our community so that we may indeed be a presence and a joy to the whole community of Salem and the world. So let us now say together the offering that we have printed in our bulletin. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so
I am so blessed.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so
blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
I am so blessed.
The blessing in our hearts has been expressed through the gifts of our hands, of our time and our energy, of our spirit today of being in community, to be at one with one another, and at one with that energy which brings peace and love and joy into this world. For this we give thanks, for these gifts, for the gift of life itself. And so it is. We now have the prayer of protection. If you'd like to stand for that, it'd be great. If not, that's okay too. Then we'll sing afterwards the peace song. The words are in your program. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. walk in the peace of the infinite love of God and the knowledge that you are in community.
You bet. You can do that.
You are sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are.
You guys did great.
Thank you, Don. Thank you.
Got the song right on
Yeah.
target. Yeah.
Well, you